Hey everyone, welcome back. Now we're going to start talking about the skeptical scenarios. So we'll start with dreaming, because that's sort of the easiest, I think, and they'll start to get weirder as we go on. So, dreaming. We all dream, right? When you're dreaming, you don't know that you're dreaming, right? You think that you're awake and everything in the dream is really happening while you're in the dream, but it's not happening. If you're whatever, parachuting through space with a tiger that somehow has Andy Garcia's face. That is not a ridiculous, insane scenario that once you're awake, you realize was obviously insane and obviously not believable. But no matter how weird the dream is, when you're in the dream, it all feels real. You think it's happening when you're dreaming, but it's not. It's a hallucination, basically. Basically, every time you go to sleep, your brain vividly hallucinates for hours. And we're all fine with it because it's normal, but it's still weird if you think about it too much. But that's what it is. It's hallucinating. It's a visual and auditory hallucination. You think that this is all happening, but it's not. You are seeing and hearing things that are not real. That's what dreaming is. And when you're in the dream, you do not know that you're dreaming. Now, small asterisk here. Some people sometimes can lucid dream, which means they are dreaming and they realize in the dream that they're dreaming. Fine, cool. But no one lucid dreams every time. Everybody has at least some dreams where they never realize they're dreaming while they're in the dream. Everyone has some dreams that aren't lucid. And as long as you have some dreams that aren't lucid, everything the skeptic's about to argue goes through. Everything the skeptic's about to argue still holds, as long as you sometimes have dreams that aren't lucid. So, when you're dreaming, you're not actually awake. Nothing that is happening in the dream is actually happening to you, but it feels like it's happening. You believe while you're in the dream that you're awake and everything happening is real. So, how do you know that you aren't dreaming right now? How do you know that you are awake and actually watching this lecture video? How do you know that you aren't actually asleep and just having a really boring dream about watching lecture videos? How do you know that? Because right now you believe that you're awake, but you would still believe that you're awake if you were dreaming. If you're dreaming right now, then nothing that you think you're experiencing is really happening. So you would be just as sure you were awake if this was a dream. But if this was a dream, then nothing that you think was happening would really be happening. If you're dreaming right now, then you think you're watching a lecture video, but you really aren't. You're actually lying in bed unconscious. And that is a different thing than sitting up and watching a lecture video. So if you're dreaming right now, then all of the experiences you think you're having are not actually happening. So, can you ever be certain that you aren't currently dreaming? Can you ever be sure that you are awake rather than dreaming? Because if you were dreaming, you would be just as certain that you were awake and you would have all the same evidence. Your brain can hallucinate visual and auditory sensations. So, your brain could very easily produce a dream in which you are seeing and hearing exactly the stuff that you're seeing and hearing right now. Everything you're experiencing right now could be part of a dream. So if you were dreaming, if this were a dream, you would have all the exact same evidence, all of the same evidence that you would have if you're awake. You see the exact same stuff, you'd hear the exact same stuff, you would feel and smell and taste the exact same stuff, regardless of whether you're asleep or awake, regardless of whether you're dreaming or really experiencing it. Your sensory experience would be exactly the same either way. So nothing in your sensory experience can tell you which of those is happening. Nothing in your sensory experience can tell you that this is real or this is a dream, because you would get the exact same experience regardless of whether you're awake or dreaming. So it looks like you can never be certain that you aren't currently dreaming. Nothing in your experience tells you one way or the other whether you're awake or asleep. Nothing at all. So, how can you be sure that you aren't currently dreaming? The skeptic says you can't, because nothing that you get from your senses can tell the difference, can help you tell the difference between a dream and reality. And so that looks like a potential reason to be skeptical. And the skeptic thinks that it is, in fact, a good reason to be skeptical. When you're dreaming, you think you're awake, everything feels real, it feels perfectly normal. And when you're dreaming, you're confident you're awake, exactly as confident as you are when you really are awake, but nothing is happening. Nothing that seems to be happening when you're dreaming is actually happening. You seem to have evidence that you're awake, but you don't actually have any evidence. And this is important. All of your sensory experience seems like it gives you good evidence that you are awake and that what's happening around you is real. But you could have all of that same evidence, all of those same sensory experiences, if you were dreaming. And so nothing in your sensory experiences can tell you whether you're awake or asleep. Neither of them, or none of your sensory experiences can give you evidence that you are not dreaming. Because whatever your sensory experiences are, you could have them if you were dreaming. You could have them while dreaming. And so no sensory experience can ever give you evidence that you aren't dreaming. But if you don't have sensory experience evidence that you aren't dreaming, then what evidence could you possibly have that you aren't dreaming? Just closing your eyes and looking inside your mind won't tell you, and your senses won't tell you. So it looks like nothing can tell you. When dreaming, you seem to be seeing and hearing the things around you. Your senses seem to be giving you evidence. But when you're dreaming, all of those experiences are just hallucinations. They're not actually telling you the truth about what's happening around you. So nothing that seems like it's happening when you're dreaming is really happening. It's all in your head. And so none of your sensory experiences can really give you evidence that you are awake. You could have all those same experiences while dreaming. So if you were dreaming that you were in class watching this video, you would believe that you were awake and really in class. You'd be just as confident as you are now, but you'd be wrong. And so the skeptic says, therefore, you don't really have any basis for ruling out the possibility that you're dreaming. Nothing in your experience tells you that you are not dreaming. All of this that you're experiencing right now could easily happen in a dream. So none of your experience, nothing you're experiencing gives you any basis to rule out the possibility that you're dreaming. Nothing in your experience is evidence that you're not dreaming, because you could have all those same experiences while dreaming. And so you don't have any reason for thinking that you're awake right now. Any reason you have for thinking you're awake right now could also be a reason, or you could also have that same reason while you were dreaming. So you don't really know that you're awake. the skeptic argues. You don't really know that you aren't dreaming. And therefore, you don't know that anything you think is happening around you is really happening. You don't know that any of this is really happening. Because if you don't know that you aren't dreaming, then you don't know that what you're experiencing is real. Because if you are dreaming, it's not real. And so, unless you know that you aren't dreaming, then for all you know, this might all be a dream. This might all be a hallucination. This might all not be real. This might all be fake. If you don't know that you aren't dreaming, then for all you know, this could all be fake. And so the skeptic thinks that this gives us a good reason to say that we don't have knowledge of anything happening around us. Because you don't know that you're not dreaming. And if you don't know that you're not dreaming, then you don't know anything about the external world. Because everything that's happening to you might be a dream. For all you know, all of this might just be a dream. It might not be real. And therefore, you don't know that anything happening around you in the external world is real. Everything that you're experiencing, for all you know, might just be a dream. And that is an argument for external world skepticism. You don't know anything about the external world. That's exactly what external world skepticism says. So this is an argument for external world skepticism. And we can run the same argument with different skeptical scenarios, including Descartes' evil demon, which I will now pause the video and we'll look at the evil demon in the next video, so that we can sort of keep this in bite-sized chunks. So I'm going to pause it here. I will see you in the next video. Let me know if you have any questions.